I'm Callie and this is Kapowski Reads. It is a bank holiday right now, so I have a little cheeky 4-day weekend, which I'm ridiculously excited about. And I thought that I would film a reading vlog over my bank holiday and just let you know what I've read. I don't know how much I'll get through. We can find out together. But I just thought I like being productive when I've got time off, and this felt like a really fun way of being productive. I've already filmed my wrap up for May. I was feeling in a bookish mood, so yeah, I'm gonna do a reading vlog. Let's see how that goes. It's an absolutely gorgeous day right now in Aberdeen, so I'm gonna go out for a walk and I'm gonna read in the park, which is one of my favourite things to do. Still morning, so it shouldn't be too busy. So I'm gonna chuck on some Factor 50 and head outside. So I am back from my absolutely gorgeous walk in the park. It wasn't super long, it was just 5 kilometres, and I am quite windswept now because it's a warm day and my hair likes to respond to humidity the same way as Monica in Friends. So let's just pat that down a little bit. While I was out, I was reading Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, which is on my Reading the Alphabet list challenge of books that I want to read. I am currently about a third of the way through the book. I finished the first 2 parts and I am absolutely loving it so far. I can't really tell you what it's about other than it is about a character who is known by one person as Piranesi, and he lives in a house which is basically his entire world. And this house is absolutely massive. It is kilometers long. And as far as the protagonist is aware, there are only 2 living people in his entire world, himself and the other. And the book so far seems to be written in the fashion of a journal, and I am really enjoying this. I feel like everybody is a little bit suspicious. I have so many questions, but I'm only a third of the way through and I'm sure they're all going to get answered. But I have been recommended this book by so many people who have told me that it's such an odd book, but they think I'll love it. And I don't know if that's a compliment to me or the book, but it is an odd book and I am loving it so far. I am currently at a point where I think stuff is going to start happening. So I'm really excited to find out what those things are. It's such a short book. There is a very strong chance that I will read a decent amount more of it this evening. It is 14 degrees just now. And I know that that doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm Scottish and anything more than 12, I'm physically uncomfortable in. I'm not good with any heat. It's too hot. We don't have air conditioning. Far too hot. But I feel so tired from the sun. Is that a thing? People get tired from the sun? It's so rare that it's sunny that I don't remember. But I am hopeful that I will get a bit more I will make a bit more progress in this evening and probably finish it maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I don't really have plans tomorrow. So I'll let you know. I read 3 more chapters of Piranesi last night before I went to bed, and then I finished it this morning. I read the last 2 chapters with my morning coffee. I am really shiny today because I am absolutely coated in sun cream because it's 13 degrees right now and that's far too hot for the northeast of Scotland, and there are absolutely no clouds and I need sun cream. But now I'm shiny. So let's just pretend that's not happening. I now completely understand why people have told me that I would love Piranesi, because I did. I loved it. It is such a bizarre book. It's all about him exploring this world and dealing with the other person there who's called the Other. So when I filmed yesterday, I had just gotten to the part where another person had showed up, and as expected, stuff did start happening and it got really, really exciting. I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. It was almost like it had me doubting reality, sort of. We had Piranesi doubting his reality. It had me doubting his reality. It was so interesting a book, and I found it absolutely fascinating, and I didn't want to put it down, which I suppose is why I read it in a day. It was such a short book, but it really did feel like it included so much. I mean, the world building in this was just amazing. I really could see the house. I could see it in my mind. I could see the sculptures. I could see the waves, all of the water. It was just, it was such a compelling read. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars on StoryGraph because I get my half stars there, and 4 stars on Goodreads because I don't like rounding up to a 5 on Goodreads. I'll round up to any other number, but just not a 5 because that doesn't feel right. I would completely recommend Piranesi to anybody who is fancying giving it a little go, because it is a really quick read and it's such an unusual book. I don't think that I have ever read anything like this before, and I would love to read more books like this. So if you can think of anything that's similar to Piranesi, please let me know, because I would love to read more just odd books set in a labyrinth. Turns out I like odd books. So I went for another gorgeous walk today, and I took another book along with me because I do really enjoy reading outside, even if I can only do it for a little bit. So I took A Silent Voice Speaks by Trishna Singh, which is an art that I've received, and it is non-fiction. So I do tend to read non-fiction a little bit slower. I only got through 2 chapters today while I was outside, but I am really enjoying it so far. And this tells the story of Trishna Singh, who is a first generation Scottish Black Sikh woman. She was born and raised in Glasgow, moved to Edinburgh, where she founded the Leith Sikh Community Group, which provides support to women of the Sikh community in Edinburgh. And this is pretty much just a story of her life and how she has dealt with expectations given to her by society, by her community. I'm finding it really interesting so far. I will be continuing with this over the next couple of days, and I do have another fiction book that I am going to start, which is Other People's Clothes by Kala Henkel. This book is set in Berlin, which is one of my favourite places that I have visited. And I know I say that about so many cities that I have been fortunate enough to visit, but Berlin does hold some very special memories for me. And this book is all about some students from New York who find themselves in Berlin, and they are suspicious their landlord is using their lives as inspiration for their novels. And because of those suspicions, they have found themselves acting out a bit more and being more extravagant in order to sort of find out whether she is actually writing about them or whether it's just a coincidence. And I bought this book back when I was in Glasgow, and it just sounded so interesting and a little bit, perhaps like it might be a little bit silly, or at least have some moments of humour. So I'm very excited to read a few more chapters of this. I also have no plans for the rest of the day. I'm going to finish knitting a sock, read my book, maybe have a bubble bath. Nothing exciting. I'm just living my slow life, and I am having a great time doing it. Last night I finished A Silent Voice Speaks, and I did enjoy it. It was a lovely memoir about an experience and a life that was so different to my own, and I found it really interesting and really informative as well. And the way that she used her faith or spirituality in order to better her community. I didn't really know a lot about this lady, and she's won so many awards and she's done so much for the Bat Sikh community in Edinburgh, which I didn't know anything about. So it was really interesting to learn a bit more. It was a fine book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. My main plan for today is I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to continue reading Other People's Clothes by Kala Henkel. Currently I'm about to start chapter 3, and so far I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what to expect because it's sort of, I think it's going to be quite exciting, but I do not like anybody that I've met so far in this book. But I think that that's something that I've learned recently, that it doesn't really matter if I like the characters, because if it's a good book, it's a good book. I don't need to like the people that are there. So I'm going to continue with this and see how I get on. I do plan, because I'm going on my walk, to go for a walk to the old textile mill, because where else to take Other People's Clothes than to the old textile mill? That makes sense to me. So I'm gonna go and do that, and then I will let you know how I got on with it. So yesterday I had said that I'd read the first couple of chapters of Other People's Clothes and I wasn't too sure about how I felt about it. Let's ignore me of the past, and let's ignore what's going on with my hair because it's Sunday, so nobody does their hair on a Sunday. I don't. So let's just go with that. But ignore me of yesterday because I didn't know what I was talking about. I have now finished Other People's Clothes and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I tabbed it. I'm not usually one for tabbing books. I just loved it. It did take me the first maybe 2-3 chapters to really get into it. But once I was at the apartment where all of this happened, I was in. I was hooked. I wanted to know what was going to happen. And I got to, I think, chapter maybe 13, 14 last night, and oh, it all kicked off. And I ended up staying up late because I couldn't go to bed without knowing what happened. So it was a very late night for me, hence the undone hair and the tired eyes, which are just a normal feature of mine. But I had to finish this and I absolutely loved it. I gave this book 5 stars in spite of my original feelings, which, you know, original me can just shush. I didn't know what I was talking about. It was such a fun, enjoyable read. I didn't like any of the characters, as I suspected would happen, but the plot of this book was just so wild. It was just so wild. It was very like an episode of a crime show that you would watch and be like, you've taken it too far. I don't believe it. That is what this book was. It was completely over the top, elaborate, and I loved it so much. Their parties were amazing. I would not have gotten in. They wouldn't have let me in that club. I wouldn't have tried to go because I don't like clubbing. Actually, during the time this took place, I probably would have. Because I tabbed so much, I do want to share my favourite quote, which is horribly pretentious of me, I know. I'm sorry. Maybe this book is making me feel pretentious because the characters in this, very much so. So this is arguably my favourite line. She is beautiful, but no Helen of Troy. She'd be lucky to launch a singular kayak. That is the level of beauty that I am aiming for. I want to launch a singular kayak. I thought it was just so witty, and I don't know, there was something, this book reminded me so much of something that I had previously loved, and I can't remember what. So if anybody's read this book and knows everything that I've watched / read in my life, please tell me what it reminds me of, because I really want to know. I think it maybe reminds me of, it reminds me so much of perhaps a film I saw in the 90s or 80s. Not the plot. The plot doesn't remind me of anything. That is just completely wild and exciting and thrilling. the characters and the sort of the way that it's written, it feels very, I don't know if it's reminding me of something like Reality Bites or something. It's written in a way that is approachable and Moorish. I wanted to devour this, and I did. I devoured it. I read it in a day, which clearly the only thing I have achieved in my bank holiday is reading books, which, to be fair, was my goal. So I'm okay with it. I thought this was just so exciting, and really the characters were just 20, so it was giving me that sort of excitement of, you know, being young and being away from home, and that element of that added excitement of you really are able, or you feel like you can just do anything. And I loved this. It gave me nostalgia, and it gave me just, I gasped. I lost count of the number of times that I just audibly gasped at what was happening. It was just fantastic. I heartily recommend it. And I used a whole thing of tabs. So yeah, loved it. I probably should have put the tabs at the top because it's going to be hard to file that away. That's a problem for future me. Based on that book being such a new favourite for me, and today is Sunday, last of my days off, I don't think I'm going to finish anything else. So I'm going to read my Read Christie pick for June, which is Murder in Mesopotamia by Agatha Christie, and just make a little bit of progress in that book. The theme for this month's Read Christie is a book featuring archaeology, because Agatha Christie famously went across the world with her archaeologist husband, so archaeology does feature in quite a few of her books. I have read this book before, but it's been a really, really long time since I've read it, and it's been quite a while since I've watched the adaptation, so I'm very excited to read this and make some progress. So that's my long weekend over, which was so sad because I really enjoyed just having 4 days of being able to just read what I wanted to, and now I have to go back to work tomorrow, which is always sad. But yeah, so I'm pretty much done with all of my reading for this time off. I think it went pretty well. I got through 3 books and found 2 new favourites in Other People's Clothes and Piranesi. Yeah, not too shabby for me. I'm pretty happy with those results. I did make some progress in Murder in Mesopotamia, which I was hoping to do. So I'm currently a third of the way through. I had hoped to read more, but as pathetic as it sounds, I have a new steam cleaner, and I just really wanted to steam clean my entire home instead. So that's pretty much what I have spent my Sunday doing, and I'm exhausted. But my floors are so clean. So a third of the way through, this book basically just means that I've had my introduction to the characters and the murder has happened. And that's where I have now popped my bookmark, and I will return to it later. So far, I am loving it. I have had an excellent time filming this vlog. This is my first kind of actual vlog where I do more than just sit and talk to you. Other saying that, I mainly just went for walks and didn't involve anybody else in any of those. But yeah, this is a little bit of a different format of video for me, and I would love to know if you like it. I don't know if it's something I'm going to try again. We'll see. I'm going to go and have my Sunday night bubble bath now. Thanks for watching. Bye!